In this challenge review, I'm going to show you how to create the pause menu functionality. The idea here is that I'm going to hit the P key while the game is running, and it's going to bring up the pause menu, and the game will freeze. From there, I'll be able to hit the resume button, and then the game will go back to normal. So let's go ahead and check out where to start. For starters, where do I put the logic for hitting the P key? For me, it makes most sense to put that in the game manager. If we look in the game manager, we're already checking for things related to the overall state of the game. For example, if the game is over, we hit the space key, we restart the game. If we hit the escape key, we go back to the main menu. So we can also just check in here for the pause key. So inside our update method, we can just simply write, we can check for an if P key, then we need to pause the game. Okay, we need to pause game and we need to bring out that menu, right? We need to pause game and we'll say enable pause menu. So in order to enable the pause menu, I need a reference to the pause menu. So let's go ahead and create a game object variable for it. So here we're going to have a private game object. And this is going to hold our pause menu. So here, private game object, and we'll call this pause menu panel. Okay, and let's go ahead and serialize it so that we can see it in the inspector. Save this. Let's head back into Unity. Let's click on our game manager. And you'll see here that we're going to have a new field for the pause menu panel. Go ahead and drag that there. And the logic now is really simple. When we hit the P key, we need to enable that pause menu. So here, it's fill in our pseudocode. So we have an if statement. If we hit the P key, so we check for the input, and when you hit the key down, we have keycode.p. And what needs to happen? We're going to enable the pause menu. So we have our pause menu panel dot set active, and we'll go ahead and say true. Let's go ahead and save this, and let's just test this out. So run the game, hit the space key. Now I'm going to go ahead and mute the audio. Now watch what happens when I hit the P key. There's our pause menu. The next part of this is how do I freeze the game? Because right now if our player were to get hit, the game is still in motion. All I've done was enabled the pause menu. So let's head to Google and let's check out a search parameter. I'm going to search for how to pause a game in Unity C#. So we'll see here, you'll find a bunch of articles. Let's just click the first one, which is a answers.unity3d page. And let's see here what it says. So in the editor, you can just click the pause button. From game code, you can set time.timescale to 0. So time.timescale, by setting it to 0, this should pause most of your game, assuming you don't rely on stuff like asking the actual system time. So interesting. So let's just take this and let's search for time.timescale. So time.timescale in Unity. You'll go to the documentation, and you'll see here that the scale at which time is passing, this can be used for slow motion effects. So for example, if you wanted to create a slow motion power up, this is how you would do it. When timescale is 1, the time is passing as fast as real time. When timescale is 0.5, the time is passing at 50%, so 2x slower than real time. When the timescale is set to 0, the game is basically paused. Well, it's as easy as that. And if you'll see here, they have actual examples. If you hit the Fire1 input, which is the space key mapped by default by Unity, you're going to see here that they're checking what the timescale value is. And if it's set to 1, they're going to reduce it to 70%. So this is how we use it. We can say time.timescale and then assign it a value. So let's give that a try. So let's hop into our code here. If input.getKeyDown, keycode.p, we bring up the pause menu and then we say time.timescale equals 0. Let's save this. Head back into Unity. Let's go ahead and give it a run. Okay, we'll hit space, and I'm going to go ahead and pause the game, and there you go. Everything is paused. Now what needs to happen is we need to create the functionality for our resume in our main menu, which will continue on in the next challenge.